Hi, this is Dr. Luke Reinhart from ProActive Health and Wellness, and I want to take some time and thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. This is a purification class that we taught in January of 2016, and it's got a lot of great information, and I hope you really enjoy it. As you'll see in this video, this program is something that's very personal to me and my family because flat out it's changed our health for the better. So, hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email. My email is luke@proactiveohio.com, and we hope to hear from you soon. So, sit back, enjoy, and if you have any questions, like I said, let me know. Have a great day. Alright, sounds good. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I'm really excited. Nights like these, I get excited because we get to just promote health in our community. So this program is something that I tell people, other than getting adjusted, is probably the best thing I do for my health, and it's not really even a question. I was first introduced to this program, this 21-day purification program, a little while ago, and we have a special guest tonight who's going to kind of do the intro for me. So this is my mom, everybody. So everyone say hi, Mom.
No applause, no applause. Hey, Luke asked me to talk, but he didn't tell me there was going to be a camera.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm actually doing the purification right now. This is day 10 for me, and I've been doing this for a few years now. And I just want to give you a little background about how I got started doing it the first time. I'm a cancer survivor. In 1997, I had breast cancer and mastectomy, transplant. In 2000, I had hysterectomy total for pre-cancer. 2005, the end of 2005, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So, yeah, it's like, whoa, okay. So, had surgery. When that was healed and I was kind of getting back to normal, they said, now you need to have the radioactive therapy. So, okay, I'll do what I have to do. So I go in, and these guys come into the room looking like spacemen in their suits and their gloves and the tungsten container, and I'm sitting there and they say, drink this, while they're all covered up. You know, it was frightening, very scary. I got along fine. My husband got a terrible headache driving me home because I was radioactive.
Really, my father's a county engineer, so he actually brought home a Geiger counter
to prove that I was radioactive.
And it went crazy.
And it went. So I was definitely radioactive. I had to be quarantined for a while and went through all that. Okay, so then, I suppose maybe a month or two after that, our community always does, the Rotary Club does a blood test every year, and we participate in that. So I had a blood test done, and they send the results to my family doctor, and she called me and she said, you need to come in right now. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I got in there and she was showing me the results, and my liver panel was all a mess. My liver enzymes were very high. And so she was extremely concerned that, do I now have something wrong with my liver? And of course, again, very frightening. So I will say that Luke is my chiropractor when I'm in Columbus. I live like an hour and a half from here. So I also have a chiropractor back home that I've had for 40 years plus. And thank you, chiropractors. They've gotten me through a lot. So I went to my chiropractor and I told him about what was going on. And he said, okay, Trudy, you're going to do a purification program. You're going to do it right now because you just had radioactive material through your body, through your liver. Why wouldn't your numbers be off, you know? So that made sense for me. So I said, okay. So I started this program, and I have to tell you, the first time I did it to the letter. I did it perfectly. I did not cheat. Now, since then, a couple times I've slipped. But at that point in time, I was scared, you know? And I wanted to do everything I could to clean up my body, clean up my liver. So, and I brought proof. It's not just me up here talking. If you want to look at my blood test, you can. So I had this purification program. I'm not going to tell you it is easy. It's not. unless you're a really great cook and you like to chop all the time and you eat really clean and fresh, because that's what you're going to be doing. If you choose to do it, you eat organic, you eat clean, you cook, and you chop and you dice, and you don't eat anything. And you're allowed to have tomatoes, canned tomatoes, correct? Yeah. But basically, you're not opening up cans, you know? And so I did it, and I was faithful, and I went back for a follow-up blood test. And hooray! My liver panel was good. Everything was kind of back in order. At one point, and this might have been a different cleanse, a different purification program, but at one time, my cholesterol level went down 53 points in 3 weeks. Now, is that amazing? That was, to me, was the most amazing thing. But very, very thankful that I got pretty much a clean bill of health after this. And just a little note here. My family doctor, I love her. She's a good woman, good sense of humor. And I told her what I was going to do, and she was concerned, but you know, she knows that I have a son that's a chiropractor, so I'm always telling her about the chiropractor. She's always like, you know, they don't always agree, but I told her what I did, and I told her my results, and she said, damn, those chiropractors are going to put me out of business. But she was happy for me, of course. She was just joking. So that's my experience. And so since then, I've done it at least once a year. I should do it more often, I realize. And for everybody who's doing this, whether you're here because of your weight, it's a good thing for your health. I mean, that's why I did it. I did it for my health. The good benefit, side effect was I did lose some weight. I generally lose 7, 8 pounds. My husband loses 15 every time. Makes me so mad. I work so hard and he loses more, but I think men generally do lose a little faster than the women. So that was the good side effect. I did lose weight, and so it gets me back on track. I have a trouble with, towards the end of the year, I get off track during the holidays, and I love sugar and I love carbohydrates, and I go kind of crazy. So this is how I start the new year every year, and it gets me back on track. It gets me thinking more about how I should be eating, and it just moves you in the right direction. So hope you all decide to do it, because I know, and I have proof, and you're welcome to look at my proof. I know it works. So good luck.
I'm just going to shut up. I don't even know if I need to say anything else. So I started doing this probably about 7 years ago for myself, and I did it, when I first did it, I did it more of I knew, because I saw the results, that I had a bunch of patients who could benefit from something like this. But I'm like, okay, I'm a pretty healthy guy, is this really going to make a big difference for me? But I committed myself to 21 days, and day 4, day 5, someone like turned on a light switch for me. My energy levels went through the roof. I was thinking more clearly, sleeping better. I lost like 12 pounds the first time I do it. I generally lose between 8 to 10. And I just knew this was something that I needed to do because I felt better than I did any other time during the year. And I've been doing it ever since. And so that's why I'm excited for nights like tonight, because it's made a change, and it's made a significant difference in the health of my family, and we're happy to bring that to you. So I'm going to introduce Gene Marchese, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about the the purification program, just to kind of give you some housekeeping things. He's going to talk for a while. At the end, we're going to do some question and answer. Probably do like 5 to 10 minutes here, and then we're actually going to go back to the office. And if anyone wants to try one of the smoothies to come with it, or have more questions, then we can answer them then. But we'll do some question and answer, and if you have anything you can think of at the end, hold the questions to the end, and everybody can benefit.
Thanks. So, the program is easier to do than pronounce my last name. I've been doing these lectures for Dr. Reinhart for a while now.
At least 7 or 8 years.
Probably at least 7 or 8 years. And you know, the reason it's important that we do classes like this is a lot of misinformation on health, especially when patients hear the words detox or cleanse. There's a lot of them out there. Not a lot of them do it right, but I'll talk about how this is different, why it's important, and tie it to other health issues we have. Weight loss and cholesterol have made it popular, but those are really just side effects of what's happening when you're getting healthy and when that process is happening. So let's start with 21 days. Who knows why we get 21 days with it? But what does it take 21 days to do? Create a habit, exactly. It's really the goal of this program, aside from other things, is what you're learning. Anyone can do something for 21 days and then stop and go back to their old lifestyle. But what are you going to learn from this program? Because it's not that we don't know that we should be healthier, eating different things. Quite frankly, we don't know how to cook them. We don't know how to shop for those things. I don't think there was the 1 Degree of Change book when you first started. That makes things a lot easier. So it's a very doable program. It's guidelines that are laid out, and it's fairly easy to follow. But again, it's what are you going to learn from the program? Are you going to shop differently? Are you going to eat differently? And then sustain those things. Because the benefits I talk about, one of the reasons this is unique is they're sustainable changes. Because you're learning something. It says here, good health comes from good nutrition, and the best nutrients come from whole food. I'll talk a little bit more about the importance of whole food. When you're doing any sort of health changes, whether it's for cholesterol or weight, whole foods need to be used. Now, quick background, standard process, we have our own organic farms in Palmyra, Wisconsin. So the products you're taking are grown. It's a family-owned company. Very good stuff. Now, we like to start with a testimonial. Now, the reason we start with testimonial is so that you all know, even though you just had one right now, it's not results, not typical. It's not like an infomercial. When you do the program the way it's supposed to be done, you get real results. We've done beta testing for different programs in Ohio. Our brochures are Ohio doctors, Ohio patients. This is an Ohio patient actually from Delaware, Ohio. And this is Randy's testimonial. It says here, I've lost on the average 9 to 11 pounds each time that I've been on the program, which is not the program's real intent. The program helps eliminate a lot of your body's toxins. The number one thing it has done for me is to eliminate taking blood pressure medicine. It has also helped the following: stuff your congested head, aching muscles, less bloating, and giving me more energy throughout the day, as well as a few other things. My biggest concern when I first started this program was, would I be hungry? But by following the program guidelines, this has never occurred. To maintain my weight loss, I still drink a protein shake at least once a day, and I snack on a lot more fruits and vegetables instead of granola bars, chips, etc. By being on this program, you want to exercise more to help you eliminate excess weight. Good luck, and I hope this program helps you as much as it did me. Now, the reason we chose this patient is they were able to hit on a lot of different aspects of the program. There was a weight loss, and we'll talk about how that's effective on this program. The medications, for example. In some cases, medications might absolutely be needed, but in other cases, they're not. So in this case, with the blood pressure med, what would happen if he had just come off of the medication and didn't make any other changes? What happened to his blood pressure? It would just go right back up. There's a lot of causes of high blood pressure. It's excess weight, food allergies, congested liver, kidney issues. A lot of things contribute to that. So would it make sense to get to the underlying cause or just mask the symptom? Probably get to the underlying cause of it, which is what this program helps do. And the other main thing is learning to eat healthy. We think just because something is fat-free or even organic for that matter, we think it's healthy. There's organic cookies now. You can almost get anything organic. This program gets you to learn what real food is and gets you eating right again. So what we'll cover briefly tonight, what are toxins? So many of us think we know what toxins are, but you'd be surprised some of the areas they're hidden. So we'll go through that and how they relate to health issues, how the toxins in our bodies, what the effects of toxicity are, but how we manage our weight and detoxify. Because like I said, those are the two things that make the most sense to individuals, and quite frankly, that with cholesterol are the easiest things to measure. So these are typically what we think of as toxins. So it says here, in 1989, the EPA estimated 1 year, almost 6 billion pounds of chemicals were dumped into public sewage or released in the ground surface, waters, or air. That's quite a while ago. The classic example I like to use is DDT. Are we all familiar with what DDT is? So DDT was a pesticide that was made illegal when they noticed it was essentially destroying the wildlife around the Great Lakes. And it's also something known as a persistent organic pollutant. And I'll go into what that means. But there's no antagonist for that in nature. So even though things have been made illegal, they're still found in human tissue now, for one reason or another. But other countries that still use it on their fruits and vegetables and then ship them into this country, that's how we're exposed to them. And other problems exist with it. Has anyone here heard of Grand Lake St. Mary's in Salina, Ohio? Yeah, you guys would.
Yeah.
Okay. In 2010, they actually closed that lake for eating game and doing things you used to be able to do because all the toxic runoff in the surrounding area. So we think DDT and things and harsh chemicals that have been made illegal is a problem of the past, but it's really not. There's still a lot of things we're exposed to today. A new one, which we haven't seen before, are pharmaceuticals in water. It says a vast array of pharmaceuticals, including antibiotics, anticonvulsants, anti-inflammatory, mood stabilizers, and sex hormones, have been found in the drinking water supplies in 24 of the 28 U.S. metropolitan areas tested. Now that's actually an older stat, so that's about 7 years now. It's actually all of the areas now. So if you don't need a drug anymore, because you do something like the Purification program, or a loved one passes and doesn't need the medication, what do they tell you to do with the med?
Flush.
That's not, yeah, typically they tell you to flush it. That's not the ideal thing. Some drugstores will tell you the correct way to do it, but most flush it. And do you think our water treatment plants were meant to handle that vast array of pharmaceuticals that Americans are on now? And it's not just ones you're deliberately flushing, it's found in our urine and all of those things. So we have to keep that in mind because things like estrogen dominance, there are so many factors that contribute to that, and this is one of them. Now the next slide is probably the least popular slide of the lecture. It's all the good things we like. But I mentioned before, there are general concepts that I want you to get from this talk, more than just what we're talking about with this 21-day program. And the first one I want you to get is food as a business. Okay? They don't have our health in mind. They want it to look pretty, they want it to last longer on the shelf, and they want it to taste good. And really what's at stake is our health. All of these things here, it was food maybe at one point, and then they stripped out the natural fats, the real vitamins, and they put junk into it. Okay? It's not real food. Now, in saying that, I want to be realistic with you. When the weather gets warmer, we have barbecues, we're going to have hot dogs and hamburgers. We're going to enjoy wine with dinner. But we have to make sure that if we do have those things, one, we limit it, and two, our body is able to excrete all the toxins that are in it. So this is not food. Who knows what cereal that is? Does anyone know where the Fruit Loop tree is? Granted, it's very sarcastic, but across the board there are examples like that. We're eating things that aren't food. The U.S. allows over 14,000 chemical additives to our food supply. It's amazing. The average American consumes more than 150 pounds of sugar and 158 pounds of sugar annually. And I'll show a video that really brings to light what that looks like in our food. But there are things in Europe that they don't allow in the food there that's allowed here. It's food, it's cosmetics, it's a real mess. We're finally getting the hang of trans fats, but it's been way too long. So what does that have to do with weight? And with weight, if weight's a goal or not, you have to keep in mind that if there is something you want to lose, many patients think I just have to eat less or I have to exercise more, I have to get my calories down, when really they're not thinking about the toxins in the environment and how it's throwing off our hormones, things like that. That DDT I mentioned before, the persistent organic pollutant, when your body is exposed to chemicals like that and other chemicals in the environment and it doesn't know how to process it, it stores it in fat. Your fat tissue is like a safety net for anything we're exposed to. So when you try and lose weight and it's stubborn and it's not coming off, your body's actually really smart. It's saying there's no way I'm getting rid of this weight because if I do, the toxins won't have anywhere to go. So they say when toxins leave, fat follows. However, patients do manage to lose weight. If you try hard enough, you can force it off. I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 10 years when the HCG diet was real popular. If you're familiar with that, you did like 500 calories a day, did homeopathics. People lost weight. But you notice, sometimes they don't look so healthy. They look tired, bags under their eyes. That's because they didn't do it in a safe manner. If you're going to lose weight, it has to be done safely. So this is one of the videos I mentioned, and it's an old video. but we couldn't really find one that got the point across so well. Sure. We're going to see how sugar is hidden in the foods we're eating. And I want you to rethink sugar, redefine it. It is a toxin, and then what I'll do is I'll correlate it to two things like weight gain and cholesterol. Not a lot of us know what sugar and carbohydrates have to do with cholesterol, but I'll tie that in there. See if I can get the volume up here.
Typical breakfast of cereal, toast, orange juice, and a banana. Cereal has about 1/4 cup of sugar. Toast has about 1/4 cup of sugar. Orange juice has about 1/4 cup of sugar. Banana has about 1/8 cup of sugar, and that's just breakfast. Let's say around 10 a.m. you get hungry, so you have a snack. Let's say you have a fruit on the bottom yogurt. This fruit on the bottom, low-fat yogurt, has a whopping 1/4 cup of sugar. And for lunch, let's say you're watching your weight, so you have a skinned chicken breast, baked potato, and some bread. There is no sugar in the chicken, but the potato has a heaping 1/4 cup of sugar in it. The bread also has 1/4 cup of sugar in it. So now 3 o'clock rolls around and you're feeling a bit tired, so you have a few pieces of candy and a soda pop. The candy is about 1/4 cup of, you got it right, sugar. And the soda is about 1/4 cup of sugar as well. Now for dinner, you're a good low-fat dieter and you're really trying to do the right thing, so all you eat is pasta. Pasta, bread, and a soda. And the pasta again is about 1/4 cup of sugar. The bread, another 1/4 cup. And the soda, about 1/4 cup of sugar. Now are you getting the picture? Look at all this sugar in the foods you're eating. Incredible, isn't it? Keep in mind now that these spikes of sugar demand a spike in insulin to push all this sugar out of your bloodstream. Now that's just one day's worth. Multiply that by 365 days, and then by how old you are, and you should be getting the picture of why most of us have had such a hard time losing weight, and why many of us suffer from such a variety of health ailments.
So we can see that the foods that we typically think of as being healthy, what they turn into in the body is sugar. And sugar's needed, it's not a bad thing. Our muscles need it, our brain needs it to run properly. But what does it have to do with cholesterol? What does it have to do with weight gain? Well, the body's actually very smart. When we look at, like the example I gave before, when we're exposed to toxins and the body doesn't know what to do with it, puts it in fat, okay? It's called compensatory physiology. The body's compensating for something. So when we're eating all those carbs, we're carb loading, the body says, you know what, I'm not gonna waste this. But instead of running from wild animals in the bush or running marathons, we have desk jobs, we sit on the couch, we don't really get out like we used to. So it says, I'm gonna use this energy. What it can't use, it stores it. And it stores it for energy for later as potential energy. And what is potential energy also known as? Fat. It stores it as fat. Now what does it have to do with cholesterol? Think of what sugar does to your teeth. What does sugar do to your teeth? It rots it. And your teeth are pretty hard. They're pretty strong. Well, that sugar comes in contact with all tissue in the body. It's not just your teeth. What it does to your teeth, it essentially does to your arteries and your veins too. And I want you to think of cholesterol as the good guy. It's not always bad. It's just bad when it's too much. So when we have the inflammation from that sugar damaging our vessels, instead of breaking and bleeding out, the cholesterol is there to patch it up. So it's actually a good guy. Cholesterol is there to put out the fire that's inflammation. So does it make sense to, get rid of the Band-Aid, lower the Band-Aid with a drug? Or does it make sense to make some changes, get rid of some toxins and cool the inflammation? probably makes sense to clean up the diet. But those are two things, and seeing certain foods as sugar and how they become sugar in the body is very helpful. I was actually watching a Mercola video a while ago, and he gave the perfect example. I think the documentary is called Hungry for Change. But he said if you were to look at a bag of sugar and looked at the label, it could say 100% fat-free. And it would be absolutely correct. There would be no fat in that. But what that bag of sugar would become in your body would be fat. So we really have to redefine and rethink how we see certain foods. So how do toxins enter our bodies? The first thing is breathing in, lungs, exhaust, toxic fumes, secondhand smoke, digestive tract, food additives, soft drinks, anything we eat. And this third one's interesting, skin penetration. Skin's a large organ. It's a large organ of detoxification. Anything we put on it gets absorbed into our body. And I'll talk about skin later on and a little bit about it with purification, but like with perfumes and cologne, where do men and women spray perfume and cologne? Neck around here. Who knows what gland is right here?
I know.
Thyroid gland. Yeah. There's receptors there. And the theme of this lecture isn't what you just do once or twice that's going to kill you. You don't wake up with heart disease. You don't wake up with type 2 diabetes. There were certain things we did over and over again. So the point of this program is to get a lot of those things out, but also steer us on a new path for better health and making those changes. So what does all the toxicity and poor diet, what effects does it have on us? And I talked about weight gain, and edema is one too. That's water retention, essentially the opposite of dehydration. And there's a saying. That saying is the solution to pollution is dilution. Your body wants to dilute the toxins any way it can. So if it is storing in fat, it will also do it in water weight. So one of the first things that patients notice are rings fit differently. Anything that was tight before, when you balance your sodium-potassium ratio, get toxins out, water weight comes off as well. But fatigue, headaches, I'll show another video that talks about how the allergies and joint and muscle pain have to do with toxins. That's a little bit of a more complicated topic to describe. Hormone function, anxiety and stress, skin rashes, sleep problems, and cholesterol problems. It's all inflammation caused by toxins. So the next concept I want you to get, aside from food being a business, is the whole genetics deal. Genetics are very important, but ultimately how genetics are expressed has to do with the foods we eat. In just 90 days' time, you could turn a gene off or on with food. And there's a popular, famous chiropractor named James Chestnut, and he's a nutritionist as well. And he says there's no such thing as bad genes, bad germs, or bad luck. Essentially, health is a choice, it's not chance. And what I want to show you here is data from the Center of Disease Control. And this is 1988, and in the red states, more than 35% of that population is considered to be overweight. What we'll do is we'll jump ahead about 8 years to 1996. That's half the US. I'm going to jump ahead 4 years, 2000. It's every single state. Now, do genes change that fast? It takes 40,000 years for genes to change, okay? We saw this change in 12 years' time. So if it wasn't genes, what was it? It was diet and lifestyle. It was food choices. It was toxicity. You still hear crazy things. I heard on the radio a few months ago talking about a pesky obesity gene for some, I don't know, weight loss thing, pills. But they still try and blame genetics. You are in control of your health. It's easier for some than others, but ultimately it comes down to the food and how it's affecting the genetics. Another thing that's thought to have a very strong genetic link is diabetes and type 2 diabetes. It says here type 2 diabetes becoming more common. From 1980 to today, the number of Americans with diabetes has more than tripled, from 5.8 million to 18.8 million. Again, genes don't change that fast. There was a Dr. Royal Lee a long time ago predicted the incidence of diabetes increasing tenfold because of the bleaching of flour and the different things we did to the food. You know, some practitioners, some doctors were ahead of their time. Who knows why it's called type 2 diabetes? It used to be called adult onset diabetes. Why don't they call it that anymore? It's affecting kids, 11-year-olds. So they couldn't even call it adult onset diabetes. The list goes on and on. Now there's metabolic syndrome, really outdoing ourselves. I promise it gets a little more promising in this lecture. We do show the light and the different changes we can make. But has anyone here heard of leaky gut? Few? Okay. This video talks about toxins and how leaky gut can cause autoimmunity and certain degenerative diseases. And leaky gut really isn't as gross as it sounds, but it's a very interesting concept. The technical term is, I think it's intestinal hyperpermeability, but leaky gut's more fun to say.
Focuses on sealing up or repairing a damaged gut, what we call leaky gut. Let's take a look. Here is a good example of a good, strong, healthy gut with very, very tight colon cells. We call those colonocytes. The average distance there is about 1 to 3 microns. To put that in perspective, a red blood cell is about 7 to 8 microns in width. Now take a look at what we call leaky gut. These colon cells go from 1 to 3 microns in distance to 2 to 300 microns. So you can imagine the debris that leaks through, causing all sorts of immune reactions. There are many well-known conditions that are scientifically documented to be connected to this very condition called leaky gut. Autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis. A lot of your food allergies, in fact, over 80–90% of your food allergies are simply leaky gut. And of course, it's a major source of toxicity. What things lead to this leaky gut? Drinking too much coffee, too much alcohol, too much sugar, not enough fruits and vegetables, especially organically grown. Chronic use of NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen, Advil, have been shown in scientific literature to be connected and causing a leaky gut.
So our skin is the same type of cells as our intestines or GI tract. It's all epithelial tissue. So just as our skin will get dry, we'll get abrasions on it, the same thing can happen internally from the foods we eat. But the problem with it is it can lead to things like autoimmunity, where our body essentially attacks ourselves. It can lead to toxicity issues. And you can see how the gut should be so tight that not even blood cells can get through. So many of us that have food allergies, sometimes they're not true allergies, they can be a food sensitivity. Because just as your body, like now is a good example because many people are getting sick, but when you have the flu, you get a germ or a virus, your immune system says, that's a protein that's not supposed to be here. So it mounts an immune response. You get runny nose, sniffles. The same thing can happen if you eat a steak or you drink milk and you have leaky gut. Those proteins go where they're not supposed to go. They leave their intended track, and your body says, wait a minute, that's a protein that's not supposed to be here. You get achy joints, you get runny nose. Many times, like I said, it's not a true food allergy, it's just a food sensitivity. And that's one of the things that get cleared up on this program. And the beautiful thing about it is it's an elimination diet. So you're getting out allergens and you're healing up your GI tract. And then you slowly reintroduce foods. So your body has 3 different ways of dealing with the toxins. The first thing we talked about, because it's the easiest thing to do, is bury them in body fat. Second thing it'll do is deposit them in tissues. And that's absolutely what we don't want. We don't want toxins going in nerve tissue and vital organs, things like that. The third option the body has, but it's much more difficult now, is remove them. The reason it's more difficult is, 1, we're exposed to a level of toxins we've never been exposed to before. And 2, we're not eating the foods we used to eat to get our livers and their different systems of the body to eliminate those toxins. So essentially they're just building up in our system. And this is an interesting definition down here. It says a long-term ingestion of low-level toxins may lead to what we label as disease. So think of sugar and diabetes. Think of trans fats, sugar, heart disease. So you don't think of going to the grocery store or going to the drive-thru and literally shopping and buying toxins, but we know what they lead to, we do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how the program's different. We'll talk a little bit about the product. So if you decide to do the program, you know what you'll be doing, what's involved as we come around the home stretch here. But there are many organs of detoxification. Many of you may have heard of a colon cleanse or a gallbladder flush. They sell things off the shelf at Whole Foods. Those aren't all-encompassing. They don't do the complete job. Toxins are all over the body. You need certain ingredients that are going to target certain organs and glands to help eliminate those toxins. We get the lymph nodes involved, the blood, the skin, the kidneys, the colon, the lungs, but there's a big emphasis on the liver, okay? Because the liver, think of it like the oil filter in our car, and our bile is the oil, okay? This is a topic that we have weekend seminars on this alone. I'm going to sum it up in a minute. But in keeping in mind that the oil is the filter, or I'm sorry, the liver is a filter for our body, there's two different phases. There's a phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is like getting your garbage packaged for pickup. This is when chemicals in our body are told to basically get together and you're going to leave the body. A lot of store-bought programs only focus on phase 1. Things actually become more harmful in phase 1. It's when they leave the fat, they go places. Phase 2, consider this the garbage pickup. All that junk you got together in the body, it's time for the garbage truck to take it away. The problem is if you're not having phase 2 happen as well, it just collects in the body and it's more harmful than good actually. So you need a phase 1 and a phase 2 working. So in the analogy of the liver, like the oil and oil filter for our car, how often do you need to change the oil and the filter in your car? So it's different numbers, different makes. It's a trick question. The reason it's a trick question is you don't actually have to change your oil. You don't have to change the filter if you don't want to. You can run your car as long as you want. You can let it sludge up. You can let the engine overheat. Our bodies are the same way. There are certain things you don't have to do, but like our cars, maintenance is a good idea if you want it to run a while and you want it to last. There are certain foods we need to be putting in our body and certain chemicals we need to get out to make sure it's running, make sure it's lasting a while. This is actually a whole other topic, another talk. Maybe Dr. Reinhart can get that together, but over 90% of cancers are environmental. Meaning there's absolutely no genetic link. And there's a huge correlation. If anyone's ever heard vegetables reduce cancer, you've heard that, I hope. The reason that happens is it all depends on those foods and how well phase 1 and phase 2 happen in the liver. So they found females that ate cruciferous vegetables had an over 300% reduction in breast cancer. And it's cross-board other things. It's males with prostate cancer. It's females with uterine cancer. So that's, like I said, a whole other talk, but I just want you to see how the environment is the cause of many of our health issues. And what we put in our bodies can help us control that. So the products we're doing on the program, and again, the program provides a booklet. It's very user-friendly, tells you what to take, when to take. The other helpful thing is who you're doing the program with. Dr. Reinhart's done this program multiple times. You're in good hands. There's no better office to do it with than one that does it on a regular basis. So it really is a doctor-guided program, which is nice. And it's from food. And food are nutrients that are highly bioavailable. What does that mean? It means it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. If anyone's ever done a multivitamin from the store and you notice your urine's like a bright orange or yellow afterwards, it's because those are synthetic vitamins and your body actually didn't absorb all of them. Okay? When you have and you do a program with food, your body will recognize it and it knows what to do with those pieces. It contains organically grown whole food concentrates, providing nutrients that help detoxify the liver and support the immune system. So I'll just sum this slide up by saying, think of weight loss, detox, think of them like a house renovation. You're ripping a lot of things out. What are you doing to help repair it? You need new drywall, you need new plumbing. The same is true with our bodies. Purification can be a little stressful. If we're getting a lot of junk out and there's tear down, we need those building blocks to help rebuild our liver, rebuild our vessels. That's what you do when you're using food. So we do shakes on the program. You do 3 shakes a day along with the meals you're eating. And we're actually going to make, like Dr. Reinhart said, after the sample shakes at his office around the corner. The reason is, if you just go home and mix it with water, guarantees that can taste the best. So you want to make a shake that tastes good. But instead of just describing what's in it, I'll ask it in this way. Who here has had their buckwheat, their Brussels sprouts, their kale, their alfalfa, or their barley grass today? The last week? Maybe once. Almost had it. Didn't quite swallow it. So these are things we used to eat on a regular basis. We used to get these things every day in our diet. We don't anymore. We've just gotten so far away from what food is. I can't say that enough. So for part of the program, we put them in the shake. And you're doing, like I said, 3 of these shakes a day. And this really gets phase 1 and phase 2 going in the program. What you do the first 8 days of the program is something called SP Cleanse. And SP Cleanse really kickstart phase 1. It will work on phase 2 as well. But what you're doing with this is you're targeting certain areas, like cholesterol. There's a natural fiber in here. There's, natural antioxidants, Spanish black radish for phase 2 detox. But more importantly, there's fat-soluble chlorophyll. It's available in the stores as water-soluble. Fat-soluble is much better. That's a whole other topic as well. But if you have something like leaky gut, nothing's going to heal that better than fat-soluble chlorophyll. And they call chlorophyll the blood of the plant. And for us, it's a healer like the blood. When you're done with the SP Cleanse, what you start next is the SP Green Food. And again, it's all laid out in the book. When one thing's done, what you add next. And again, it's buckwheat juice, it's barley, Brussels sprouts, kale, things we used to eat on a regular basis but don't. And by the way, you'll see a lot of sprouts in the program and a lot of standard processed products, because sprouts will typically have 20 to 50 times a higher nutrient content than other vegetables. So you're really getting a bang for your buck in that respect. Has anyone here ever heard of Brussels sprouts? So it was actually a food engineered by Johns Hopkins University because they wanted to make the ultimate superfood to prevent cancer. So they used sprouts. But a long story short is they found nothing could do it better than the natural foods themselves. So I think the whole thing was kind of a bust. But the thing that I like about it, working, and promoting a whole food supplement company, is, even an establishment like that throws in the flag when it comes down to just eating the food as the best option. You're getting a fiber on the program. And fiber is important for multiple reasons. There's a lot of different fiber out there. And aside from cleansing the GI tract, it helps with a healthy intestinal bowel or intestinal environment. And a large part of our immune system is in our gut. Everyone's here has probably heard of probiotics, right, and how important they are, and Activia, which can't make some of the same claims they used to. But what many people don't know is probiotics aren't even the most important thing. It's actually prebiotics. Nobody talks about prebiotics. And good soluble fiber is the best prebiotic. Standard process has probiotics, but they have prebiotics with it. Because when we're talking about our bowel flora and our gut, probiotics are only cousins at best to our own native flora. When you have the prebiotics, it actually feeds what's native to you. So in that respect, it's great with not only cleansing, but building our immune system in our gut. These are adjunct supplements. For some reason, that's a little messed up there, but what that is, that's a tuna oil, it's a fat. Depending on your diet and lifestyle, Dr. Reinhart might recommend something in addition. I still work out when I'm on the program, so I do the Whey Pro Complete. You do get 10 grams with every shake in the SP Complete, but if you want more, you can get up to 25 grams by adding Whey Pro. You should be using olive oil. You should be using good fats in the program. If you're not, for whatever reason, make sure you have a good quality oil. We have tuna oil. And then Gymnema is an interesting product. It's actually traditionally known as a sugar destroyer. And Gymnema stops sugar cravings. Because, the first 1 or 2 days, 3 days maybe even, you struggle a little bit because you're not having those foods you're used to. The reason it's a struggle is because your blood sugar is normalizing. The best way to get through that is by taking Junima. This is what the supplement schedule looks like. It's all laid out in the book. You can see it's more than you might be used to. For cleanse, it's 7 capsules 3 times a day. If taking capsules is an issue, you can pull them right apart and dump them in the shake. There's a little hint of cayenne in the cleanse, so it's a good cleanser, but it's not like eating spicy food. And then green food, 5 capsules twice a day. But anything could be added, including the whole food fiber. So what are we eating? So we're wrapping this up here, and I want you to know that the main reason this is different when people think cleanse, they think starvation. You actually eat as much as you want on the program. It just has to be the right foods and the right ratios. The right foods are fresh fruits and vegetables, twice as many vegetables as fruit. Because fruit's healthy, but what is it?
Sugar.
It's sugar. So you'll be grazing all day long. You'd be amazed at how much food you're actually eating, and weight still comes off, and energy goes up. So eat only fresh fruits and vegetables. Frozen's okay, so we recommend that. Twice as many vegetables, fruit, like I said, and you want to eat frequently throughout the day. Now what that does is it avoids being hungry, obviously, but keeps energy levels consistent. You're doing the shakes, and you're drinking plenty of water. Now what you'll do is, with the booklet that comes with the program, and the 1 Degree of Change booklet that you can get additionally from Dr. Reinhart, you would just treat that like a grocery list. You go in the grocery store, start with the things you know you like, you've made before, whether it's Brussels sprouts or asparagus, and start with the things you know you like. But there are tons of recipes provided for standard process as well. Are there any coffee drinkers in here? Yeah, okay. So my advice is, start weaning yourself off a few days before you start the program. You can go cold turkey. You'll probably get a headache. But what I'll say is, the reasons you love the coffee and may be used to it go away. Your energy level goes up. You feel good in the mornings. You get good sleep. You don't miss the coffee. Some just need a hot beverage. That's why the green tea is allowed. Most people gawk at the thought of green tea as opposed to coffee, but do the program. It changes your palate. And spring water or mineral water is best. Don't get into tap water. That's too much junk in there to even talk about. So days 11 through 21, what we're adding is lean protein. Everything else stays the same. Eating unlimited amounts, twice as many vegetables as fruit, but add some chicken, hormone-free, antibiotic-free, that's readily available in Columbus. I'll do this lecture in pretty remote areas, and even those patients there find ways to get these hormone-free, free range. We don't want to be putting back in what we're trying to get out. Typically, size of a deck of cards are 3 to 4 ounces is the size. And the book is very good at talking about good oils, good protein sources, things like that. Continue eating the fruits and vegetables. Continue drinking the shakes. So foods and stimulants to avoid: fast food and processed food. That should need an explanation. Carbohydrates, sweets, and grains. Normalizing blood sugar is a huge part of this program, and that's achieved with that. Hydrogenated oils. Hydrogenated oils are not a food. There's actually research now that links trans fats to heart disease. It's well known now. Alcohol, caffeine, soda, tobacco. Already covered the caffeine. The alcohol is not a big deal. It's only 21 days. You're only missing a few weekends. You can still be social. You can still go out. Just don't drink the alcohol. I think now's the ideal time to do the program. I've done it mid-August, or I'm sorry, mid-July. I don't recommend that. Being out on patios and people drinking beer. But nonetheless, I missed my January time frame. I did it in July. I still played softball in my league. I went to the bar afterwards. I just didn't drink the alcohol or eat the food. But I was still able to spend time with friends. Nuts and beans, these are healthy, okay? But they're tough on the digestive tract. So when we're healing that up, if there is any leaky gut or any sort of compromised gut lining, elimination of nuts and beans is ideal. Also, like I mentioned before, think of this as an elimination diet. You're giving yourself a clean slate. Many of us have food sensitivities and we don't even realize it. So we eliminate them and then implement one food group at a time afterwards, and you'll know what works for you and what doesn't. When in doubt, avoid anything not specifically listed. So talk to Dr. Reinhart. There may be some exceptions, you know, if they're athletes, maybe you'll keep the meat in for the first week. If weight loss is a goal, you might make some other recommendations, but work with the office because it is doctor tailored for you. So in wrapping it up here, everyone has different goals, but across the board, more energy is what you get. That comes with sleeping better, having sustainable food. Think of sugar as rocket fuel and fat as diesel fuel. Obviously diesel's longer sustainable burning energy, and that's what you do when you're eating the foods on this program as opposed to sugar. Weight loss. You lose what you have to lose, okay? If weight loss isn't a goal, you won't lose that much. If you're already a lean person, but some will lose a pound a day every day they're on the program and more after. All depends on what your goals are. It gets your body to its natural state. Better digestion, reduced joint and muscle pain, those are explained with the leaky gut video. And then hair and skin, that's really, the skin's a filter. If things were going good on the inside, you're eating clean foods, not a lot of toxins, it shows on the outside. And then improved mood. That comes with sleep again, that comes with better foods, hormone balance, things like that. I'm going to finish up with cholesterol because we have some examples here, but if you do, and Dr. Reinhart would recommend getting a pre and post lipid panel, because if you are on a statin drug, this is going to normalize your cholesterol if you do the program right. Remember, cholesterol is not the bad guy. All it's telling us is if it's too high, we have an inflammatory state and we're eating a poor diet. So this patient's cholesterol is 344. That's too high. They're inflamed. Just from the 21-day program, eating right, getting the toxins out with the supplementation, went from 344 to 182. I don't know that a drug is actually going to do it that fast, but actually do it in a way that it teaches you how to eat healthy foods to keep it that way. Triglycerides, a fat in the blood when you're eating too many carbohydrates, went from 787 to 108. And heart risk, which they get by using a ratio of the different cholesterols, went from 7.2 to 3.7. So that's unbelievable with making dietary and lifestyle changes. You want me to talk about that? You do that? So in closing, the one thing I want to make sure is that you prep. That's key. Okay? If you get the kit tonight, don't start tomorrow at 8 a.m. Read through the booklet, go to the grocery store, stock up on your fruits and vegetables, find out a shake that you like, they're pretty basic to make, and kind of get your ducks in a row. No matter what your schedule or what your work environment, it's definitely doable. I do a lot of traveling because I do doctor trainings and patient lectures after hours. I don't have access to a fridge all day. So I get a thermos, for example, I make all my shakes at once and I'm good to go. I don't need access to a kitchen. I prep my salads and cook my meats the night before and just, put it in a lunchbox and I'm ready to go. So prep is key. The difference between those that succeed and those that drag their feet and make mistakes are those that prep and those that don't. If you slip, it's not a big deal. Keep going. You're better slipping and doing the program than not doing it at all. But are there any questions?